Hi everyone, hope you're doing well today. I've got a fun video for you today about frogs. I know, I've done 2,500 plus videos on YouTube and I've run out of ideas, so I'm going to talk about frogs today. Actually, it's about the myths and the stories about frogs and how they are a metaphor for situations in life. Now, this all came about, this video, because I was sitting at breakfast with Kate, my friend in the UK, when I was there visiting. And for some reason, the topic of just stories and mythologies came up. And I was talking about the frog myth, or the story where they say that you can, put a frog in boiling water and it will die right away. You can kill it, or you can put it in warm water and then you heat up the water gradually and it just will slowly die, and which is very kind of gruesome, but that's the story, that you put it in boiling water instant, but if you wait, do it over time. And of course, it's a metaphor for the fact that changes in your life and in your world can sneak up on you and not have the impact that you thought it would have, and eventually achieve the same goal as if it had happened quickly. But that, just to watch out for things that are happening in the world that are changing your reality, and be prepared. So I just thought that was a really cool story. So and it's so ironic. I think the topic that we were talking about was artificial intelligence and about the changes that are coming about because of it. And I have a much more, casual and less fearful attitude to ChatGPT. I've been using it now for a while and I see it as a positive, and so I'm watching that as a change that's happening in our lives, and I'm kind of getting prepared for the way it's going to impact our world. And I think it will be dramatic, and I'm not minimizing the significance of where we will be in 10 years time and what impact that's going to have on social unrest and social structure and the whole story about technology taking over jobs and so on. But anyway, all that aside, this analogy about the frog in boiling water was kind of a story about how things like technology are taking over slowly things in our lives. We're appreciating them, they're kind of okay, but then what happens. So I thought, well, I'll just go and ask ChatGPT. They can give me a hand with this. And I said, can you give me some more frog stories? It's kind of a question that I would ask, please give me some more examples of frog fables, that have been talked about in the past and have a significance to society. And so the boiling frog analogy, of course, came up first. That was the one that everybody knew. But the one about the frog in milk, two frogs in milk, I didn't know. So this is a story about two frogs in milk. One just gives up and drowns in the milk. The other one starts to swim around, paddle around, and turns it into butter, and then climbs out. So it's like this whole story about resourcefulness and how, you can panic and give up if you don't want to deal with something, or you can just figure out a way that it's going to work. I know that during COVID, this was one of the things we probably all learned, was the frog in the butter technique. We learned how to adapt. And that's kind of the story of the frog in butter. The frog and the ox. This is a good one. The frog, this is another fable. I think it was an Aesop's fable. Well, it's the story of the frog that wants to be big like an ox. And he sees the ox and he thinks, oh, this is really cool. I'm gonna puff myself up. You know how frogs puff, 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 puff. And he wanted to be as big as the ox. And of course he explodes and dies. They're all kind of gruesome. But anyway, the story, what's the word? The hidden meaning of the story is, don't ever try to become something that you're not. You can't be an ox if you're a frog. So just be happy with what you are and be, grateful. Don't try to achieve, don't be jealous of other people and what they might have. And the ox and the frog is kind of an analogy of that. So it ends your pride and being something that you're not. The next one is the frogs asking for a king. And I don't know this story, but again, it was an Aesop fable where some frogs asked Zeus, the Greek god, for a king. And the king sends a log. Now, Zeus was actually quite wise because he knew that frogs like to sit on logs. They needed it to protect themselves from the water. But the frog said, oh, that's not any good. That's not a king. Send us a king. So the king sends Zeus sends the frogs a stork, and of course the stork eats the frogs. So it's kind of the thing about appreciate what you are given. It may not be the thing that you actually want in the long term, but it's actually the right thing for you to do. So it's kind of like, rather than seeking change, be happy where you are. These are kind of cool. So the frog and the scorpion, this is a good one. So this is the frog and the scorpion, who are both sitting at the bank of a river. And the frog says to the scorpion, how are we going to get across this river? And the scorpion says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll jump on your back and you can swim across, and then we'll get to the other side. And then the frog says, well, that doesn't sound good. You're going to bite me and then I'll die. And so the scorpion says, no, I won't. And so he gets on the back of the frog, and of course, halfway across, he stings the frog. And the frog floats away. And the scorpion gets off on the bank of the water. And the frog, as he's in his dying breath, says, why did you do that? And, you said you wouldn't. And the scorpion just turned to him and said, I'm sorry, it's my nature. Which is kind of interesting, because it's all about, we have inherent character traits, that can dictate our behavior. And we can apologize for them. We can try to make up for them. We can try to avoid them or deny them. But they're who we are. And that's the scorpion. So the scorpion is often interpreted as representing the nature of humans to go against their best interests and still do things that hurt them. It's interesting. The frog prince, I think, is another one, where the frog is transformed into a prince after being a frog. And it's like, don't judge people by their appearance, and that's the frog and the prince. And reward, being kind and authentic are more important than how you look. That's kind of frogs are not that attractive, although some people do love frogs and they've got a special place in their heart. But that's another one. And then the final one is the frog and the bulls. And I think that was, they were looking at a field of bulls. These frogs were looking at the field, and the bulls were fighting, and there was like a lot of noise and aggression, and they were like sitting there thinking, how, I forget there was something, the grass was blowing up or something was happening to affect them. But the point was that the powerful people that are fighting, like the ox that are fighting, or the bulls that are fighting, can have a negative impact on the weak. Because their battle is causing chaos. It can affect you. And that's kind of a cool one too. And then there's the wise frog there's all of them. The leap of the frog, where the frog is leaping from one lily pad to the next, and it's all about keep going, try to find the right pad, the right place that's yours. But these are really cool frog fables or analogies that represent true characteristics or true truths, truths in life that we can learn from. Well, that was fun. Kate and I had a good laugh around the kitchen tables in the UK when I was there, and it was like, okay, this is a fun story. But she said, well, where did you get it? I said, I just asked ChatGPT, which is AI. We go back to the first frog story, and I said, I'll go ask if they can give me some titles for this article. Oh my goodness, that was more entertaining than the actual stories. And the only reason I'm telling you this is that ChatGPT, AI, all these tools online can be such creative inspiration. Like, I never would have thought, well, I could have thought, that there's some obvious ones with frogs, but this is what they came up with. And I've got to read these to you, and maybe you won't laugh. I thought they were funny, but there's frog tales. Life lessons from our amphibian friends. And then there was another one similar. It was like riveting revelations from our amphibian friends. Hop into wisdom. Fascinating frog analogies. Frog fables. Try saying that 3 times. Timeless life lessons from the pond. Leaping into life's lessons. Frog stories you need to know. Ribbit realizations, frog stories with big messages, frogs, fables, and fantastic life lessons. And they go on, from puddles to princess, frog tales with powerful messages. And I read these and I thought, oh my goodness. What it did to me as a writer and as a creator was it gave me all kinds of ideas. And it was really stimulating that my brain just didn't go there. I just couldn't have thought of riveting, realizations from our amphibian friends, which is why I've made this the title of this video. But it's wonderful that we've got these stories and these are archaic, like Aesop and all the the famous writers of fables. Anyway, what do you think? Have you got a frog story that you like? Which one of those did you remember? The butter, the pond with the scorpion, the boiling water? Anyway, I hope that they're in the midst of all this, woven into this crazy video, was some message that would be helpful. But take good care. Like the video if you thought it was fun and enjoyable. Please subscribe here if you have not done that. And visit our other channels too. We're on Instagram and TikTok and the website, of course. And we love you everywhere. If you're interested in our Patreon group, which is where we do this all the time, silliness, join our Patreon supporters group, which helps 60andMe since we don't charge you any fees for our content. We do have a Patreon supporters group to help us. So patreon.com/60andme. That's all the add-ons to the video. Hope you enjoyed the frog stories. Ribbit, ribbit. Bye.